There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the stars of the show, the Fantastic Four taking their first baby steps in Matthew's hands.
Marvel's first family. Never forget, Marvel's first family.
That's true. Hopefully they're going to be done right. Hopefully they're going to have some respect. We're going to check out the trailer.
Yep, we're going to check out that trailer. But, of course, we also have some Superman stuff to talk about.
Yeah, a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it's a story that's probably been as old as time, it seems like, especially once the conglomerates took over your favorite IPs and decide that they don't want to pay the creators and the families and so on and so forth. So, yeah, you alerted me to that story that kind of popped up. Found pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Welcome in to the Evening Blend. Was this number 36, I think? Number 36. Shaking and moving. We had one right around Christmas, I guess, pre-recorded, and then one horrible migraine, and now I'm in the middle of a horrible head cold something or other. I apologize to anyone who watched Friday night. It's quite embarrassing, to be honest with you, because there's one thing I don't like to do. I don't like to disappoint, and I don't like to look like an idiot. And man, about 56 minutes into that stream, I was pretty much speechless. And there's just dead air. And I'm staring at my screen, and I'm like, I can't read my stream deck. I can't read my screen. Oh my gosh. So I apologize to any and everyone who may have tuned in for that. It was a very quick one, and obviously by the view count, it shows that it was not very good. But nonetheless, here we are, powering through. You're always on point. I'm having to power through tonight. You might hear a little stuffiness going on here. Hopefully the camera's not cutting in and out. If it's, I don't know if you've noticed it at all. It seemed like Matthew noticed my camera was kind of acting funny a little while ago while we were talking backstage. So hopefully all is well, and we'll try to get through it. We got some pretty good topics, though, actually, and kind of, I don't know, not rapid fire necessarily, but we got a few good ones and some fun Grammy pictures to look at. I can't wait for that. But anyway, so first and foremost, how are you doing, man? You doing good?
Yep, doing good. Running through things, just making it. Got some cool stuff in this week. We'll talk about later. Having fun. I've been kind of really inspired to take photos. Unfortunately, it's time is getting away from me, but we did some outdoor stuff the other day, walking with the family, and then it got cold, and now it's getting warm again. So it's probably going to be, it's like 80 degrees the other day. It was 67 to here today.
Same.
It's going up and down.
Yep. Same here. Yeah. We've bounced back and forth. Sunday, Monday were beautiful 70-degree days, sunshine and everything. And I felt like absolute garbage. And did not get done some of the things that I need to get done. But man, it was basically just being laid up. How about that?
Yeah.
Which sucks on a day like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 2 days like that, for that matter. So yeah, my son and I this past weekend did nothing, and I mean nothing. Or I did nothing, and he did virtual reality. So anyway, such is life. So look, enough of that. Niceties out of the way. Obviously, let's get into our chat, see who's joining us, and as a few people roll in as we kind of get going. Obviously, first and foremost, Legend Series wants to know about the Fantastic Four trailer. We're definitely going to get into it here momentarily. I have not watched it.
So okay.
First reaction. I have not watched it. I was at work today, came home, tried to nap to kind of rest up a little bit for tonight. And so I have not seen it yet. War Chest is already up in this chat. He is always up in every chat. It's, it's a great phrase, by the way. I'm sorry. Just, he is, man. He gets everywhere. I love it. 3-star draw in the house. What's up, cuz? Ronnie, trick shot. So I woke up in the middle of the night and jumped into the stream with Shark Eyes and Ronnie.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I just couldn't go to sleep. So I was like, okay, well, here I am. So they were going through the GI Joe renders and
Hmm.
everything, and I know those have been done to death. We're the last time we did that, it ended up taking like an hour
Yeah.
of our time, and you guys have all seen those. I wanted to get your thoughts on them, not to show them, but just kind of
Yeah.
get your thoughts on them. But yeah, Ronnie Trick Shots here in the house, loose, full of juice, and ready for use. That's
Ooh.
yeah, that's
That
sounds like
sounds
my
like
younger
a.
days.
I was gonna say that sounds like a phrase from Point Break, right? Young,
Yeah.
dumb, and full of.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, War Chest. Look, I've been at home with nothing to do other than work actually. Joe Fan 84 in the house. Johnny Reno is here as well. Clint Jorgensen. I can't forget Turk Murphy's Toy Solutions. What is up? And so far so good. Let's roll with it, baby. Uh, got 11 eyes on us. Maybe that'll double as we get going here. Uh, and hopefully I won't sweat to death in this chair because it's like hot, cold, hot, cold. This coffee's probably not helping. So
Yeah.
usually we will start out with just a little current box office just to get an idea what's going on this week at the
Well,
movies.
I did notice that both Werewolf and The Wolfman, which came out about a month apart, are both available on streaming,
I
and you can
saw
actually
that.
get the DVD Blu-rays right now.
That's quite amazing. What has happened to the movie industry where we're literally 3 weeks after a film comes out,
Boom.
you could
Yeah.
get the Blu-ray.
Well, that
What?
just tells you how good or bad it was, and it probably also tells you how crappy the master is going to be on the Blu-ray.
Oh
Just
man, yeah. Well, I haven't seen Wolfman. It is a 3 hour transition
oh,
film. A
oh,
literally 3 hour, and it takes 3 hours to
uh-huh.
become the wolf. Most movies, most werewolf movies, right? There's like a build up, and you see the person, and then there's a transition. You think The Howling, right, or
Mm-hmm.
American Werewolf in London, right? So no, this is 3 hours of the slowest werewolf transition in the history of movies.
Wow.
Dogman. What do you know about Dogman at number one?
Yeah, I mean
36 mil.
it's a kids movie. It's made by
Yes.
the Underpants
Captain Underpants
Captain
people, right?
Underpants people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it and I say, you know what? If I had a 6-year-old boy, that's probably the movie that he would want to see.
My son had a bunch of those books. He
Yeah.
loved them when he was a kid, and they were a okay in school too. They were fine with them reading them,
Yeah.
and so yeah, but and that doesn't surprise me. Definitely companion, new one for me.
Yeah.
One of them days is a comedy that I'm shocked is kind of number three.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. Flight Risk has been panned widely
Yep.
with Mark Wahlberg and a horrible bald hair cap thing.
That's what I look like.
It's pretty brutal. Mufasa holding on strong, but look, here's the amazing thing. You think about this: 46 days in, Mufasa, a movie like that is only at like $230 million. And if
Mm,
you think a few years ago, that number would probably be upwards of 800 million, or
hmm.
somewhere climbing in that. I think it shows that people just are not interested in that kind of live action remake stuff, sequel, prequel, whatever from Disney. Like they're just not really into it. A complete unknown. Bob Dylan still hanging on strong there. Um,
I really want to see that one. That's one that's been on my list, obviously, and uh, just
Timothy Chalamet has turned out to actually be a really good actor, and
yeah.
I
I
think
hope
that
that he can stay off the interview circuit and
right,
and not stick
right.
his foot in his mouth because I think he's got a good career ahead of him.
Yeah, I do too. He's turned out to be actually pretty damn good. There you go. Tony's Figs in the house. What's going on, buddy
So
boy? Viper Scout also. His daughter loved the Captain Underpants books. Yeah, they were huge, man. I'm telling you,
yep.
like all them kids, just huge, dude. Uh, Obviously making movies. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at
That was good.
230.
Love
You
that
know,
one.
it's got actually brought in more money than Mufasa, and probably will finish with more money. Moana 2 at 454 million. So, I mean, obviously people still like that franchise. I don't know what you could do with it after that.
Hmm.
Kind of rounding it all out after this, you got your Den of Thieves 2 and Wolfman Wicked still holding in at 470 million. Nosferatu is in there, hasn't cracked 100 million, but I think for that film, I think that's pretty damn good. I think it'll have legs in rentals and beyond. You can buy it now for $20 for streaming. But
Yeah.
I've recommended that movie more than any movie I have recommended recently I could think of in the last few years.
Yep.
I really have. I've told people go see it. It's really good. Just be prepared to watch the movie. Don't do anything else. Don't get on your phone
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
For sure.
It's worth it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Most of the activity is going to be coming up here in the next couple months, and especially as we get into the summer, be a lot more exciting as far as checking the box office as we get Superman. Obviously, you've got Snow White. That's going to be an abject failure, I think,
I don't
by
see
all
that one
metrics.
working out. Yeah.
No, not so much. And I haven't talked to a single person who even knows that that's even coming out. I mean, I talk movies at work and stuff like that, and some couples that come in, they're all about, pop culture stuff. I haven't talked to a single person that said a word about
Yeah.
Snow White.
Yep.
It just looks rough. But we'll get into that when it comes out. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So since we brought up Superman, we'll get into a little bit of news. A little news of the day. I've got quite a few stories, and you know most of these, I would say. You know, definitely. But this one in particular you sent to me, and kind of want to get your take on this. So the Superman estate is suing Warner Brothers Discovery, DC Comics, to block the release of the movie in key territories such as United Kingdom, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
Ireland, Australia, and it's over ownership rights
Mm-hmm.
across relevant jurisdictions. Now, this is a story that's been going on for a long time now, and I know you've been, we brought it up a few times, here, and I know how strongly you feel about creators getting paid for their work, the families of those creators who are no longer
Mm-hmm.
with us. And so when you sent me this story, I mean, kind of what was your immediate, thing? Do you think this is going to I mean, it's not going to derail the
No.
movie, but what do you
No.
think about this?
I mean, it's it's the family reaching out for what they deserve, right?
Right.
The estate needs to be compensated for the use of the character that was created. I'm a big fan of that, and honestly, that is their legacy. And if you're going to use that legacy, you need to pay homage to the people that created it, and that's just the way that it should be. Just like anybody else on the internet, if you don't know where something came from, say you don't know, but this is where you found it or whatever, but try to cite the people that generated the content, right? You
Right.
got to show that kind of reverence. Otherwise, it's just one of those things that you're trying to take credit for what everybody else is doing and all that kind of stuff. And so this is just another one of those examples of we're trying to grind the gears of a major mega corporation to make them do the right thing. And we have seen how Disney has screwed creators' rights for their entire
Oh,
functioning business. I mean, they've
yes.
never paid
Yes.
their artists, their animators, their animation people anything of what they deserved, and they churn and burn people to make use of what they do, and then just toss them away. And
Right.
this was disposable pop culture product. So people didn't think much about it at the time. And now it's become multi-billion-dollar business. And so now everybody wants a piece of it. And if everybody wants a piece of it, then the people who actually did something for it aren't getting their portion. And so I think this is just bringing light to the family and saying, hey, you know, we deserve a piece of this.
It's and what's tough about this, and Viper Scout, does make it, in one sense, makes the argument, hey, look,
Oh,
they signed contracts.
no, Viper Scout, they didn't, because at the time that they created this, it was not a work for hire situation.
Right.
It was a totally different world, and those contracts did not exist. They were
Right.
retroactively done, which is why they've gone back and put their names on things later, and they had to do the same thing with the Batman creators, because it's like, okay, well, we got to fix this.
Well,
Because they knew they'd done messed up, because those
you've
things didn't exist at the
you've
time.
also seen this with Star Wars
Yeah,
because
well,
Disney has cherry picked stories from the extended universe, now called Legends, that used to be part of canon, and they'll cherry pick stories that were created, characters created
well,
by
it's worse than that, because they'll reprint these legend stories and
yes,
not pay
yes,
royalties to the authors
yes,
who
that's
wrote
right.
them,
Yes.
and that's the most despicable thing I've ever heard. But they said, well, we're publishing it now, we own the rights, so we don't owe you anything. And they're like, no, just because I did this for Lucasfilm and you now own Lucasfilm still owes me that money. You
Yeah,
know,
it's this is kind of something that really has been going on for a long time,
yeah.
and yeah, war chest. I agree. I mean, for decades, this has been going on, and you're right. You know,
Jack Kirby, Len Wein, you can go back and name any one of those creators, and look at Bob Kane and Bill Finger and all those guys back in the day, and how they got treated, and they were tossed and thrown away. And one of the people who is the face of it, who's actually largely responsible, is Stan Lee, because he started taking credit for everything, and minimizing other people's roles. But he was the face; he was the front
yes.
man for the company.
Well, and if you look, I mean, right here, just this paragraph right here. This is their lawyer, but basically saying, or at least the summary. At issue are foreign copyrights to the original Superman character and story, co-authored by Jerome Siegel and Schuster. Through Siegel and Schuster assigned worldwide Superman rights to DC's predecessor in 1938 for $130. The copyright laws of those countries, with the British legal tradition including Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after an author's death. So this is where this is really kind of coming from, is that there's a kind of a limit, a statute, and then 25 years afterwards. And so it says Schuster died in 1992, Siegel in 1996. So by law, the foreign copyrights automatically reverted to his estate in 2017 in most of these territories, in 2021 in Canada. And so that's basically all this is, right? Is just to file this motion, and basically, get paid, right? I mean, it's the bottom line. And let's not kid ourselves. The families of these people, these comic creators, these people who created the giants that today, probably did not. They weren't making the kind of money that people make today, that companies make today,
right?
That create generational wealth, right? You have families and, the people who created a lot of these characters that we all look at every day and we read the books and all that, that get nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
literal nothing.
You look at Frankie Frazetta and his kids and grandkids and what they've been going through, trying to, sell some of the original artwork, sell the ideas, license their stuff out. They're hustling to continue to make money off of their father or grandfather's name,
right,
based off his artwork and the few pieces that he had, because he didn't have that many pieces.
Well, and a lot of the stuff they did, they didn't keep.
Well, he painted over. He
Yeah.
painted over stuff. He repainted stuff, took a piece and modified it to be for something else. So a lot of pieces got lost also. So yeah.
And also too, I mean, just back in the day, especially, you can imagine you're just cranking out comics, man, left and
Yep.
right, and your mind. And we've all dealt with it with like toys and figures, right? You
Hmm.
just never thought that a gung ho from 1984, or you know what I'm saying, whatever, was going to be worth anything, right? So
Right.
you don't think about that. Now, of course, you're a kid, but when you're an adult, even at that time, I don't think the foresight, you know. Now, some people did have the
Now,
foresight.
I had a friend and he had the flag and he wouldn't let anybody play with his action figures. He'd put them on stands and he'd set them up and he'd display them, but
That's a
nobody could
trip.
play with them
Yeah.
because he wanted to preserve them and save. And I'm like, really, dude, come on, you've got the flag. Let's play on the flag. I want to land my Sky Striker on your flag.
I mean, seriously though, like you get like the one kid out of 25,000 that's like, do not touch my,
Yeah.
don't open that,
Right.
like,
Yep.
but everybody else is playing with their shit. I
Right.
mean,
Yep.
but War Chest too, saying they created Superman in the late 30s before TVs were even available to sell to the general public. After World War II, they had no idea what an IP, TV, or entertainment could be or become. How big that something could become.
Yeah.
Some things just were not. I don't think you could have the knowledge or the foresight where in today's world now everything's about right trademark copyright
Yep.
or whatever else. And on top of that, you still have laws like what's being brought up here, which copyright laws have been around a long time. And these laws have been in effect and says, hey, look, 25 years after the creator's death, the rights
Mhm.
revert back to that creator or said family, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I,
all about that.
War Chest, I think this was key to Frank Frazetta's longevity also, is that early on he worked into all of his work contracts that he got to keep the artwork, the originals that he made. And most artists aren't that forward thinking or not thinking about it, but he did. And so he was from the beginning planning for his family and the future by saying, hey, this is artwork. I could use it for something else or I could sell it. But he also made art as a commodity. He made it for commercialization. So he made it to sell and he wanted people to have it and be happy with it. But he wanted to keep his originals so that he had control over how they're used in the future.
And, you know, that's somebody obviously who knew what's up. I mean, to put it so bluntly, but
Yeah.
knows maybe their worth and what they've got, and you know, has the foresight to think about it, right? I mean, it's tough when you go back and look at. I mean, you can imagine how many people just going all the way back to the 40s, 50s, whatever,
Yeah.
created or came up with or wrote on or drew on, inked, whatever, that, ended up with nothing, right? Like just
Yep.
ended up with nothing once they were out of the business and
Well, I mean, Len Wein is one of those people. He created Swamp Thing amongst many other things. He was one of the original
yes.
creators of Wolverine, and he basically died broke as a pauper, and everybody was trying to get when he fell ill. Uh, all of the artists rallied and tried to get DC to help pay for some of his medical bills or help him out somehow, and they just hung him out to dry.
um yeah, man, that it's hopefully some of this stuff's getting rectified, and as it gets more attention, in this particular case with this, I
Yeah,
think, is this movie going to get stopped in the UK and
no,
Australia? Someone made the
absolutely
comment
not.
earlier that, Ronnie and Shark Eyes Frostbite are going to have to come to the US to see it. I don't think that's going to happen.
Nope.
Is something going to get worked out? I'm sure it will, and considering, I guess, just case law in general,
Yeah.
if that is all the way it is and there's precedent, then yeah, I'm sure it will get worked out in some shape, form, or fashion. But I thought it was an interesting story, and you had sent it to me, and things at this point, stuff like this, so big,
Yep.
it's called too big to fail, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
It's so big, it's not going to get stopped. There's no
No.
way that movie's going to get
I
put
mean,
out.
it's already part of the machine. It's already part of the cycle. You're going to put a monkey wrench in it or whatever, but it's not going to stop it. It's going to continue to move forward, and hopefully, hopefully the family gets fair compensation.
Well, I hope so. Especially nowadays, like I said, with how much money, how
Mm-hmm.
much money everything is worth these days. It's
Yep.
just, everything's about a brand. Everything is about, and with social media and just how many views and everything. And then when stuff like this happens too, awareness gets brought to somebody, and then people go back and buy back catalogs. They go back and discover their work, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's extra revenue. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's uh, tread not K6, you goofball. Don't ever do that shit again. You hear me? Imaginary or not, you son of a bitch. uh,
Hey, you know what? It's no joke because I've got another friend right now who he did have a family member pass away. It was pretty close, and he had to cancel all of his plans
oh yeah,
for the
oh
next week
yeah,
or
yeah.
so. So,
That's a
yeah,
lot of big plans,
a
my
lot of
friend. A
they
lot of
were
people lining up, bought tickets, going to see, hang out. A lot
yeah,
of
but
stuff going on.
the machine's going to still keep moving. The
Yes,
show
it
must go
is.
on, but
Yes, it is.
yeah, he's dealing with that kind of stuff
Yeah.
right now. So
Well, fortunately, Dreadnoks was imaginary and
yeah,
not real, and died from lame jokes, which I have several. I'm sure the people at my job are tired of them. Kind of my laugh too. I heard somebody mention the other day. Said every time I hear Brandon laugh, every time I hear Brandon laugh at the bar, I laugh right behind him, and I'm like, I don't know, if that's good. It's a good thing. What's going on, Sabir? Good to see you. Definitely. But yeah, I hang on. This what is this here? 3 stars says so. Apparently, the United States Postal Service just announced they aren't delivering parcels from China starting on February 4th, as of today. That's today.
oh, excuse me. They sure as hell better because I've got a couple things
Oh
coming.
no!
Actually,
I bet.
mine came from Japan, so it's all right.
I bet you do, War Chest. I bet you do. Um,
Yeah,
so
I'm sure somebody's going to clip my comment from earlier and use it against me at some point.
oh my god. You never know. Hey, it's live, baby. This isn't Memorex, right? So you can't take it back. It's not Whitney Houston at the Super Bowl, all right? I
Once it's on
remember
the
that
internet,
shit.
it's always on the
Yeah,
internet.
it's forever. Don't run, cause I'll find you. All right, so let's let me pull this banner down. Shit, we got it. It's off the rails. All right, let's get to the trailer, man. I want to give my honest and first
All
reaction to this
right,
trailer.
let's check this out.
Fantastic Four first steps, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. I was gonna put a fair use overlay, but when you put the overlay up, you can't see behind it, so I'd have
Well,
to actually,
can't you make it transparent a little bit?
man, I'd have to download the trailer, throw it in the clip champ,
Oh yeah,
and
okay.
then I'd have to put an overlay over it and
Yep,
opaque the overlay. But I
yep,
almost did it, but I was about 10 minutes out from going live, and I was
yeah.
talking to you, and I was like, that's not going to happen.
I
So
distracted
we're
you.
we're going to watch it. Look, see what happens. It's a minute long. I've watched several other channels that have watched this trailer.
The whole thing. Yeah, I
If they
mean
want to come after a channel that has
so this
136, 46
look,
subscribers,
yeah. So this isn't Warner Brothers. This isn't
yes,
Paramount.
right.
We're probably okay.
I think so. Let's check it out. If we and look, I'll pause it because there's
Yep,
going to be things I'm going to react to. So
yep.
so let's check it out. Here we go. Fantastic Four First Steps official teaser. Theaters July 25th.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
Okay, first thoughts. Do you like the film, the not HD widescreen cut of this trailer? Do you like the cut like it's a vintage you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
I,
I mean,
I like it okay.
yeah, they're going for that '60s vibe.
Yep. Yep.
They're trying to uh, do that aspect of it with the backgrounds, the outfits, the lighting, the camera work, all that stuff is very 1960s. And if that's what they're doing with this movie, I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four has to be kind of camp. It has to.
Yes.
It absolutely has to. But they have to knock it out of the park.
Recently, we've had nothing but serious movies with
Yep.
some humor thrown in, and I would
Right.
love. I hope this does what it's going to do. So let's
Yep.
finish it out.
Herbie, how's that sauce coming?
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Looks good. Looks good.
Okay. Okay, is this guy good or what?
I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip, okay?
T-5.
Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah. Best looking, he means.
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi!
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
Nice. Gandalf and
As a
Galactus.
family.
Okay. All right. All right. First shots of Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
I like the thing. Looks
Yep.
good. Looks good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know what else you could do with him. Are we gonna get the whole story again of him feeling bad because he's ugly as shit? He's a rock, and his wife leaves him. Are we gonna get that story again? I don't want that story again. We got that story already, right? This is after that happened. They're going to show them changing in flashbacks, I assume. We're not going to get the origin story, which I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so far so good. It's a teaser trailer. I don't know what else I can gather from this. Galactus Shadow is cool. Gandalf was in there. Gandalf was in
Gandalf.
there. You know, the white. The white,
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
the gray.
right? Yeah, no,
The white.
no.
Who the hell is that guy?
He's Red something. Somebody.
Red Ghost.
Red Ghost. Yeah.
That's Tony's Figs is on the money.
So,
He says, Red Ghost, you son of a
I
bitch."
gotta be fair.
Okay, let's be fair. Let's go.
I like the Fantastic Four. I've never been a huge fan. I've read
Me neither.
a couple of their story runs that have to do with Doctor Doom or Galactus that I've really, really liked. They've been engaging, but they are Marvel's first family. They are the first ones that they really went after and built up and made a team of them. This has a lot to go to win me over. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not going to hate on it. There's nitpicks I'm going to throw in there. Ben Grimm's voice as the Thing is terrible. They need to put a filter on it or something. I don't know. Just having the actor's voice doesn't seem right to me. It's like they have to have. He's even before the change, he was a gruff person.
Right.
So there's that. Johnny. He looks like that character from One Piece that wants to be a Marine.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
all right.
You know, the fake bleached hair or whatever, the goofy look. I mean, but the way he's acting like Johnny. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah, it's
that looks good. The robot they threw in, the stupid robot. Okay, that's cool.
he looks like the medical droid from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that? The little
Well,
medical droid.
the medical
and
droid
even
from the
final
Clone Wars
season. With,
Yeah, the medical droid from Clone Wars and all that was based off of the Fantastic Four robot from.
Oh, there you go.
The cartoon and all that
Ta-da!
stuff. So
hot take, Matthew. Hot take
I
coming
mean-
in. Final Fantastic Four greater than X-Men. Oh, I totally disagree with that take.
well, I mean, it depends on what story runs you're looking at.
Man, oh
and
man,
it
I don't
depends
know.
on
What's up,
it
Daredevil
really.
Day?
Yeah, it really depends on your preference, right? I mean,
No, I agree.
the X-Men got to be too melodramatic and
Well, we've got a story about that too here. in a
Oh
moment.
well, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll
But
get there.
you know, I don't, this isn't going to knock anybody's socks off. I think it will be a competently made film and will do satisfactory.
I think they know that they have to make a
Yeah.
competent film.
Yes, but here's the thing:
Have to.
I don't know how much Captain America: Brave New World is going to hurt this film.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I mean, we're gonna get a few. We're gonna get a few all right in a row, right? Like we
Well,
with
so
Superman July 11th. This is July 25th.
the Daredevil
Captain
TV
America
show
comes out in March, which is gonna be
yeah,
a disaster.
the Daredevil TV show comes out this month.
Oh yeah,
Cobra Kai, the last part of season 6 comes
right.
out this month. So we have a bunch of stuff coming right now.
Yeah.
And it's all building up and leading to more superhero stuff. So there's some ramping up that's going on. So we'll see.
Yeah, Woody Triple Deuce in the house. What's going on, buddy? Daredevil Dave sliding in here.
Did we
and,
see Sabir?
We did.
we-
Yes,
okay.
yes, absolutely. And there's you guys. I read through some of these jokes. I'm sorry. There's some good jokes in here. And they're about Whitney Houston. I don't know. My Whitney Houston Super Bowl comment somehow stirred up the feelings, all the feels about Whitney and crack pipes and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on.
Wait, wasn't Whitney Houston Ben Grimm's girlfriend in one of the movies? Oh,
God. Oh, man. I don't know. It just fell off the rails, man. I started, as I'm watching the trailer, I'll look over and I'm just going to give you the beginning of this joke. If I can even find it. God, you guys are killing me. It's a 3-star draw. What's white 6 inches long and hasn't been sucked in a long time? Whitney Houston's crack pipe. Oh my God.
wow.
Woo! I'm sorry, but that one got me. All right, I'm sweating, and it's not the cold this time, y'all. Okay, so anyway, yeah. Look, it's a teaser trailer.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm supposed to gather from this. I'm with
Well,
you on Ben Grimm's voice.
A
You know,
teaser trailer is supposed to get you excited about it.
Yeah,
This isn't moving the needle for most people. Most people are like, oh yeah, looks all right.
It seems like it. More chance is for them to be Marvel's first family. They're sure as fuck can't get it close to right. They've had a tough time trying to get them, and I don't know what it is. Maybe this kind of camp, if that's what it's going to be, futuristic 60s, will nail it.
I hope so.
And I do too. I hope it does. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. The Fantastic Four was not one of the comics I collected as a kid. It was not something that I was not really into these guys. Through the years, I'd seen the films, and, I'm a sucker for superhero films and stuff like that. I always have been. And so I guess I always, want to see a good one, but it's not near and dear to my heart. It's not, close to me where I'm just like, gosh, I just wish this one time they would get it right, But for those that are, then, I could totally somebody being all in, and saying, please, like, just do it justice. So we'll see as we get more trailers come out, as we get closer and closer, and we will, folks. It might be cold as shit right now, but it's going to be really hot soon. It ain't going to take long. And as we get closer, obviously we'll get better looks, and we'll get more looks. We'll see. Maybe they tweak some things. Maybe they put a filter on Ben Grimm. I mean, I don't know.
I do think that the overlay of practical with CGI on Ben, I think they're doing a pretty good job of that. Since they've already done Korg, and they did Korg really well, it would be very much a disappointment if they couldn't do the Thing properly.
And I will always love crack. All right, that's all you get, folks. Oh my God, Ronnie Tricia.
Oh,
they just keep on coming, folks. Lord have mercy. Well, I haven't seen the discourse around it yet. I will, kind of look. I saw a lot of videos from the, people I follow on YouTube, and others. For some reason, I think YouTube did another algorithm thing because I'm getting all kinds of people I do not follow in my videos. And I even put a post out, I think maybe today, hey, check your subs because I got unsubbed to a few people that I follow and I know I've subbed to.
Yep.
And so yeah, YouTube does weird stuff. Every several months they'll do a cleanse is what I call it.
Yep.
And but you know, so speaking of the Fantastic Four and the trailer, I did come across this article that was talking about trying to nail down, you know, the fact it's not going to be an origin story.
Yep. Good.
And it says the director and actors make concerning remarks about vital MCU film. In an exclusive interview with Entertainment Weekly, director Matt Shakman revealed the Fantastic Four First Steps won't be an origin story. One of the ways we're making it our own thing is we're not telling the story of them going up and being changed and starting our story there, which I'm A-okay with. I'm fine with that. There's a lot of well-known narrative that leads into that moment. It's like Spider-Man getting bit by the spider. We don't need to see it again.
Right.
And then
you
know,
I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
Gary Beekler, Nerdrotic, has said this for a long time. He's like, I don't need an origin story. I need you to tell me a good superhero story. I need you to jump in the middle and tell me a good story, and then we can do whatever about the origin or whatever. I don't care about origin stories. Just tell me a good story.
I'm good with flashbacks.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, little pieces of flashbacks or whatever, but just tell a good story. Put these characters in it. We'll figure out the rest. Don't worry about the audience because this happens to novels all the time. You have to have the catch, the hook. The hook has to be there in the first 5 pages, right? If the hook's not there, then the thing's scrapped. It's done.
Well, right? and I think it's almost like with several of them, like for instance, Batman. I don't need to see the pearls hitting the concrete again. Superman. I don't need to see him flying through space and landing and in a cornfield. I don't need to see Spider-Man getting bit again. Like a lot of these are just in public knowledge. Like if you don't know that shit, then you ain't alive. Like that kind of thing.
Well, and it's so easy to infer some of this stuff too. You don't need to be explicitly told things to know things happened in a movie, right? And also, your imagination is better than actually showing us. So you can just reference they don't even need to show them flashbacks. They can just reference the space mission or whatever.
Now, I would say, and I don't know, you might feel differently. The Fantastic Four origin story, I don't think is as widely known as Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
absolutely.
in some senses, I get if you're trying to pull people in, but in this instance, like they've tried that. Try something different.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm totally okay with that.
Yep.
I am. War Chest. That is a wonderful joke. That is just you guys are killing me. I'm sorry. I can't even keep it straight. So, oh my God, I love y'all.
So Dreadnought K6, your premonition may come true. Yes. You're gonna make Pop laugh so hard he's gonna die on stream. So you will literally have killed somebody from bad jokes.
Oh my God, you guys, you started a terrible train wreck. But I love it. I'm not gonna lie. You guys keep typing away. You're killing me, literally. If this cold doesn't get me, your terrible Whitney Houston jokes will. A Punk with Toys showing up in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. We just watched the Fantastic Four trailer. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but again, it's a teaser. But what are we going to get? The director's saying, look, you're making up a new story basically starting at the end of the first act. And we thought, well, let's just start this thing off on a completely new foot. So we're beginning after the first act. Again, I'm okay with that.
Yes.
This article's like, hey, this might raise some alarms. This is not concerning to me at all. Now I know that if any of you do visit that Park Place, and that's a WDW Pro and their, pop culture channels on YouTube and stuff, There's some hyperbole. There's some hyperbole in there for sure, but they
Yep.
do usually a pretty good job. But they're very Disney focused and very obviously by the name of the website. Um, but yeah, this doesn't really, for me, it doesn't really do anything. Now
Yep.
now this guy did direct WandaVision, episodes of WandaVision,
Mm-hmm.
but he also has done Fargo, Game of Thrones, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess they're trying to make a correlation here between how WandaVision and Wanda kind of became the villain and all this, and that, that raises questions about what he wants to do with this film. I don't think one has to do with the other.
No, I don't think it
I don't
does
think one
either.
has to
I
do
mean,
with the
you
other.
look at the guy's body of work, and I mean, there's some talent there. So,
Yeah.
I think, like I said, this will be a competently made film. It will do satisfactory at the box office, unless Superman tanks.
Well,
If
that's
Superman
true.
tanks, Fantastic Four
Hey,
doesn't have a chance.
man, if we look, can you imagine like this trifecta of like Captain America,
Mm-hmm.
Superman,
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Four,
Mm-hmm.
all don't do well?
Yep.
Then is it superhero fatigue, superhero movie fatigue, or is it just like no, people just don't give a shit anymore?
Well,
They just don't care.
they're going to blame it on superhero fatigue.
Right.
But quite honestly, more and more people have been talking about the things that we've been talking about forever. It's not superhero fatigue. It's crappy movie fatigue.
Yes. Yes. It's so easy to pinpoint. If the stories are terrible, then people don't care. But good stuff will always shine through.
Yeah.
Good scripts, good movies, good acting will always shine through.
Always, every time.
Every
Even
time.
when a movie gets thrown out there and doesn't have a lot of press behind it, but people talk about it and it picks up in the second week and the third week and the fourth week and keeps rolling. We've seen that happen recently.
Right.
And it's like, yes, because it was a good film. It had poor marketing, but it's a quality film, so it will do well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
forget the Thunderbolts. I will definitely forget the Thunderbolts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, either way, like, yes, I hope it does well. I want it to do well because I want it to be good. I want to see it good. I want to see something fun. It's yeah, I mean, 3-star, I think a lot of people just lost faith that we can get good movies. I think you're right, but I think it's because most of the movies we've gotten kind of tend to browbeat us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really, and it's just been that kind of thing. And I think people are tired of going to be preached to and talked to like they're children.
Yep.
And they check out.
And for
it's
a minute,
natural reaction.
And for a minute, Hollywood took that advice, but then the Grammys came back around.
Oh man, yeah. Those are some fantastic pictures, and we need to. There's a couple of them in particular I want to look at. We don't have to look at all of them. I can scroll quickly, but Graph, what's going on? Good to see you. Fantastic Four. At least this trailer got me hyped, unlike the Superman one, which I agree. The Superman one didn't really do anything for me.
Right.
I'll still wait for reviews to decide if I'll see it. Yeah, I think a lot of people these days, they do. I think they peruse the review sites and they go, hey, you know what? I'm just going to hold out. And then if it's getting good word of mouth, then I'll go check it out. Typically, though, when people get super hyped, it's the second week drop off. It's that 60% drop off that we see with most things.
The second week is always the most telling. What is the drop off? Because there's always going to be a drop off. What percentage is the drop off in that second week? And that will give you a good view of what's going to happen with all that.
Yeah.
War Chest with the new Daredevil series. I worry because some of the stuff that the creators have said, in fact, they've made fun of the Netflix series. And I'm like, wait, you made fun of the best Marvel product that's been put out at all in live action.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe we should rethink what you're doing. Because if you're not taking inspiration from that, then you will do Daredevil a disservice, and this will go down the typical Disney rabbit hole of being crappy.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the trailer they put out for it definitely, it's violent, and it's if that's what you went to the first Daredevil series for, right? Because that's one word that gets used often when people talk about that series is it's violent. You know, it's it's violent. It's like, okay, but that's not going to carry a show.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be more to it than that.
The biggest hope I have,
it looks good. I ain't gonna
the
lie.
the biggest hope that I have is the actor who plays the Punisher. He put his foot down, and he doesn't want the Punisher to be done dirty, so he wouldn't
I heard that.
participate unless he approved the script or liked the direction that they were going. So I have some hope there that that will
Right.
kind of bring things along. And John Bernthal seems to really love the character, so I'm hopeful that will do well.
Yeah, and obviously, I think most people tend to agree. Or Chess agrees with you as far as that live action, Daredevil,
Yeah.
widely regarded as basically the best thing that they put out, on television.
Yep.
Live action. Viper Scott liked the Superman trailer, like Crypto, like the cameos. Yeah, I just want to see a little bit more. That's all. And the
I
widescreen for me looked really weird when he was flying.
Yeah,
It
and the
just kind of had a
CGI on his
weird
face
look on
and
it. Yeah, just I mean, that's nitpicking,
right,
right?
it
That's
is,
a
and they
1 second shot out of a movie.
right, and they can fix some of that too. What draws me back from the Superman movie always comes back to James Gunn and what James Gunn is good at and what he is not good at,
Yeah.
and what Superman should be and what a good Superman movie should not be. And all the things that James Gunn is good at should not be in a Superman movie for the most part. Some of his stuff is
Yes.
okay, but the way he is successful, I think could be a huge hindrance to a Superman movie. So
Yeah. I think mainly just after the last few
yeah,
movies and the Snyderverse and everything. Maybe people just want a more like hopeful Spider-Man or Superman movie rather, and yeah, and a hopeful Spider-Man movie too. But it also reminds me of the Brandon Routh, you know, movie, and that was kind of he reminded everybody of Christopher Reeve and how much he looked like him, and it's hopeful, and Kevin Spacey in that movie turned out to be kind of weird. I liked it all right. It's
man,
actually I actually liked it fine.
Kevin Spacey was pulling off a great Gene
Yeah.
Hackman.
No, I thought it was fine.
No, I mean, I thought it was fine. I actually kind of like a lot of parts of it. Some people just hate it. Whatever. It is what it is. I thought that for what they were trying to do, Brandon Routh did a Christopher Reeve,
Yeah.
and Kevin
I agree.
Spacey did Gene Hackman because they were trying to make the third movie in the Donner Superman series, and I
Yes.
thought they did a good job of trying to continue that vibe.
The feel of it, the
Yeah.
spirit of it, I think they definitely kind of somewhat got down, and yeah, I think the thing with the stuff with the kid and everything got I don't know,
A little
got
weird.
little weird,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
but
It
but
always
hey,
goes back to the meme of how that happens and how Superman doesn't kill Lois
yes.
Lane. I'm just saying.
That is a question that comic fans and whatever have had for decades, is like how does Superman do it? Like it looked like something out of The Boys. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Yeah. No, there's some great memes and some skits that were done on that are pretty hilarious. Just be careful looking them up. I'm just saying.
oh yeah, no, definitely don't do it on your work laptop. Wraith Mace, what's going on, buddy? Wraith Mace has been making these killer freaking logos to gear up for a Warhammer 40K discussions, and he's been
Yeah, it's
sending
gonna
them
be
out.
awesome.
And the
Gonna be
one he
awesome.
sent me is absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. It's sick, dude. I'm like, yeah, okay, this man's hard at work here. So look, you brought it up. I'm only gonna before we get to this Chris Claremont story about the X-Men, I'm gonna bring it up.
Oh, crap.
We had the Grammys red carpet, and I don't know if y'all saw this. You had to have seen this. Obviously, there's Taylor, Tay looking mighty fine, I guess, yeah. Got the Ariana Grande eye thing going on with the little wisps on the corners, It's very popular these days. Tay showing some cleavage. Kelsey's got her rocking and rolling, huh? Charlie XCX. Okay, fine, whatever. Victorian in a way. She could have been in Nosferatu with that. There's Sabrina Carpenter. Evidently, this is the biggest superstar on the planet that I've never heard of. But somehow she keeps showing up in my shorts on YouTube. It's like, okay, who is this? I don't know who this person is. But anyway, she's huge. Sabrina Carpenter, ladies and gentlemen. There's Tay Tay. Yeah, Tay Tay's, she's been working out a little bit, doing a lot of dancing. Here is one of the strangest, and of course, I'm not going to show the actual.
That was one of the strangest. Oh, okay, yes.
Kanye and then his wife decided to basically go nude.
Yeah.
This is her fur coat, and then she drops her fur coat, and she's basically naked.
Yep.
And she walked around all night naked, and then went to the after parties naked. And, I remember seeing pictures of Prince when I was like 10 years old. He had Sheila E., and she was in like bikini bottoms, but they were not like thongs. They were like full back, like bikini. You know what I mean? Like they were dancing and singing in them and stuff. And back then that was like, oh, this is crazy. This is, how could somebody wear this on stage? And now we have people literally walking around naked at the Grammys on the red carpet. So, yeah, whatever Madonna and Prince were doing in the 80s is nothing compared to what's evidently allowed now. Olivia Rodrigo, whatever. I don't care about these people. I don't know who this is. I don't care about this person. I really want to. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, a lot of these. Look, even Miley. She's working out, right? Looking good. Billie Eilish looks like a Japanese dock worker from the
Actually,
1700s.
She looks like Yoko Ono.
She does look like Yoko. This is not attractive at all. Neither was Yoko, for that matter. And then we have Carrie Fisher. I mean, Gracie
no.
Abrams,
Okay.
and as our Princess Leia of the
Princess
evening.
Leia.
Yes, Sabir, Sheila E. in that era, unmatched. I agree. Saint Vincent, don't know who that is. Don't care. We have Green Day, still relevant after all these years.
Well, so
somehow.
apparently, I don't know if you heard this or not, but Green Day and Pearl Jam were up for Song of the
Lifetime.
Year.
Oh, really?
They were up for Song of the
Really?
Year. Yeah. So, but do you know who won?
Sabrina Carter?
No, the Beatles.
Karen Carpenter? Oh, that's right. I heard about this. Yes. Yeah. Somehow the Grammys have gotten back around to awarding 70, 60-year-old bands. 50
It was
awards.
a newly released song, apparently.
Quite amazing. Yeah, it's like Beyonce winning Best Country Album.
Oh, that was
Fascinating.
okay. So that was a troll, right? Because who delivered the award to her?
Was it Post Malone? I don't know.
No. I forgot. I heard the story today, but
Who the fuck is Teddy Swims?
yeah, the person that gave her the award apparently beat her out of another award previously.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it wasn't a country thing. There's no reason that she should have been up for a country music award, but this person who had so the whole thing was a troll, and they made it in an award show. So you can take it for what it is.
All right. I had to look that up. I did not see that, but I did not watch. I have not watched the Grammys in probably 20 years. As a matter of fact, no, it's been 20 years because Prince performed with Beyonce in 2004. That's when I last watched the Grammys.
Yeah, I think it was the Country Music Awards or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Teddy Swims ate Post Malone. I agree with you. Somewhere in there, Post Malone is banging to get out. He's trying to get out, working hard. And here's my favorite one.
There it is.
This is the one.
There it is.
So we have the Smith kids. And now this picture does not show the well, I don't want to misgender them. I assume female Smith child. She has like broccoli in her teeth, and she has a bull ring. She has a bull ring, and it's like she's got those redneck teeth that you can buy at the gas station where you put them in and they're like black and missing some. That's like literally what her teeth looked like. And then she's wearing a bra and panties, which is a wonderful outfit on the red carpet. But then we have this contraption here with a custom Louis Vuitton suit. Now the suit, I don't even know. The suit alone, if he showed up in the suit, I'd be like, what the hell are you wearing? But 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 the house, as Graf so succinctly puts, is it's supposed to be Castle Grayskull. No, this is a piece of art. This is a custom piece of art by someone who is honoring the vampiric people of the Bathari, Transylvania area. They do vampire art from Transylvania. This is a Transylvanian artist. And then he probably paid $150,000 to Jaden Smith, who looks really happy, doesn't he? Doesn't he look so thrilled to be there? And why are they there? Like, what did they do? Did they make a record this year? Did
I would have no
have they-
idea what they're there for.
This fucking house. I'm sorry. Do you guys understand? Do you see why I find this shit so fascinating? How insular and this bubble that Hollywood, and the fact that people are so out of this shit now. They're like, what is this? 30 years ago, people would be dying to be at this red carpet.
Yeah.
And now people are like, you can't get me far enough away from this. You see why I find this stuff fascinating and
Yeah.
why I like to report on it, because it's obscenely ridiculous. This is fucking stupid.
Yep.
What the fuck? Oh my God. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, you guys' Whitney Houston jokes though, those are some good stuff. But anyway, yeah, so Jaden and Willow Smith, and then we have two regular people. Nobody cares about them. They showed up. They're like, hey, we're Jack Antonoff and Margaret Qualley. We're regular people. And everybody's like, yeah, we don't need your picture. Sorry. You gotta go. Where's the cane?
They needed
Give him the hook.
They needed the pitchfork in the barn behind them for the picture of
Oh.
Paul.
Good Lord, right? But anyway, I just found it just so fascinating. Babyface still relatively relevant.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Uh,
Harry
you know.
Potter.
Yeah, and then we have Kelsey Ballerini. Everybody knows, but anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to get. Oh God, Bob Weir, please go back to the grave. Please go back to your coffin, my friend. Please
He's one of
go
those-
back from
he's-
whence you came.
He's one of those vampiric people that they're making art about.
Oh, everybody's heard of the artist Mustard, of course. How could you not know Mustard?
Or is it must turd? I don't know.
Anyway, enough of that shit. We gotta get off of that. Oh God, it's fascinating to me though.
Yeah,
that what
And
they
they made themselves more irrelevant than ever
Oh,
because
wow.
not only that, they show their opulence, they go in there and then they go make their pompous ass speeches, browbeating everybody again.
well exactly right
And
exactly
and so they've gone back to, their normal SOP, right? So they
Yes.
just when we had a glimmer of hope with the last one that hey, maybe they're turning things around because they wanted to quiet down a lot of that political stuff. And then this one just ramps it all back up again. I'm like, all right, I mean, we're done.
And you know what? War Chest hit is like, I know a spray painted 3D puzzle from the 90s when I see one. That literally, it's like, it's just a black, there's nothing to that. Like that, art obviously is subjective, right? But when you wear it on your head like that, like that's not a hat, friends. That's not a hat. Good Lord. Anyway, I find it fascinating. The world that these people must live in, right? What's up, Shane?
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yep.
the insular bubble where everything you do is great and wonderful and it's the greatest, latest. And then when you fall out of favor, you fall out of favor, right? Like when you
Yeah,
fall
you're
out
done.
of favor, you're done.
We're done. Yep.
And getting back into the club is an extremely difficult thing to do. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Babyface. Yes, still producing, still writing. Definitely, most definitely. But yeah, I'm with you, Clint. Music for me, hey, haven't kept up with the kids. I get it. It happened. I remember my parents and my mom, and they were like, "What is this?" She grew up. Knew Michael Jackson when she's a teenager, right? Or when she's, 1970, 72, 74, she's 20 years old, whatever. But I'm sure in the 80s it was like Madonna, Prince, who are these freaks, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I get it. I get it. It is what it is. And it's a sign
Yep.
of the times, and when you're getting older, it's just, it is.
Yep.
Now, you did send me also you made me curious about this Chris Claremont
Ah,
article and this
yeah.
conversation. And this is something that you and I also have talked about quite a bit, and it pertains to comics, it pertains to the X-Men.
Yep.
And I think this is something that has happened. This is why the books aren't selling. It's why people are not buying the comics. And Chris Claremont, who oversaw one of the greater runs of the X-Men,
Yep.
basically is saying that we need to get out of this viewing the X-Men as minorities, as all mutants.
No,
The
no. Well,
Well,
it,
yeah, he said we should view them as unique individuals, not
yep.
as minorities. And what's happened is they've been co-opted by each new victimhood or each new minority group that's gotten smaller and smaller and
Small.
smaller, right?
So that's more of the direction he was going, because
Yes.
he was, the allegory was a race allegory, right? It was because of race relations at the time, and so it was a minority group, but it was just a race relation thing, because that's the kind of difference they're talking about, and they've tried to manipulate it into every other subset of a subset of a subset of a subset
Yes.
group, and you've excluded everybody who would ever want to pay attention to what you're doing, because you've alienated the fan base, and so people just stop.
People tune out because you
Yep.
get pages of superheroes or you get pages of mutants that are, talk basically lecturing
Yeah.
different groups, or they're lecturing their colleagues. They're, you know what I mean, like
Yep.
it's and I even showed a few the other night, on the stream, but a couple pages out of a couple recent books where it's gotten to where you know these characters now are not even the characters that they really truly are supposed to be. They've been kind of turned into something else,
Mm-hmm.
and they're so far from where they began that they're unrecognizable, and they're not fun. They're not
Yeah.
fun characters. They're not fun
Yep.
to read. They're not fighting big battles. They're fighting climate change, or they're fighting like trans rights. You know what I'm saying? Like fight. It's
Right.
it's and it's becomes that, yeah, no, people are not buying this. They don't want to buy
Yep.
these books. You've seen it with most of the comic books, really, that and a lot of the writers that have kind of taken over, and they're the stewards of these franchises or these IPs, and they've
Yeah.
just buried them into the ground.
Yep.
And it's a shame because, I mean, look, I think in today's world it would be silly to think that kids are gonna grab comics off the racks because their noses are in a tablet. They're not in a
Mm-hmm.
book. They don't even have books at school. They have some books at school, but they have a little laptop with them. They have a Chromebook.
Right.
It's just a different world. So I get it. But for longtime readers, man, you've got customers for life, right? You got lifers, dude,
Yep.
that just that's money you're just not getting that used to be guaranteed
Yep.
money. And it's just disappeared. But I like the fact that at least somebody like Chris Claremont can come out and at least say, look, man, we gotta kind of get back, we need to get back to what these comics were about,
Mm-hmm.
and stop co-opting these characters for each and every new subset of minority, whatever that may be considered, right?
Right. Yep.
Um, you know, I used to read X-Men back in the day, and I still have several. But and like every kid, I loved Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I was a big Wolverine guy. Loved Storm though. Storm was one of my favorite characters. And now she just lectures people on. She's been raised up to be some kind of. Uh, I don't even know. I will
Yeah.
say this: the video that you sent me was pretty good. It was a good conversation. I do not know those guys,
Yeah.
but it was a good conversation on the topic. And when you hear comic book people talk about comic books, like really talk about comic books and go on a deep dive and stuff that I can't possibly do.
Yep.
Man, it's fascinating to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Chris Claremont, Mark Miller, Chuck Dixon, Kelly Jones, the way that those guys talk about it, and when you hear them talk, you're like, you created some of the greatest comic book stories that have ever been done, and they have a lot of good information about what's going on and what has been going on in the industry
Yeah.
for so many years. And if they could just get back to telling stories, they might make money again.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I think you're right. I remember walking in. There's a different comic shop, and I picked up a couple like new books. And I even picked up that like the Robin, whatever. And I was like, I couldn't get through a couple pages of that. Like it's just not. It's boring. It's not good.
My wife still likes the Nightwing book, so I've been picking that one up for her just to keep up with it, because she has all of the Nightwing comics and the Teen Titans and stuff. And that one's gone up or down, but they had one issue that I just looked at the cover and I said, "Oh, please don't tell me that's what I think that's about."
I'm sure it was. Whatever it was. Sure.
Well,
I have no doubt.
It probably came close, but
Mark Millar, War Chest, love some Mark Millar.
It's pronounced Miller, by the way.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, I forgot. I heard it the other day, actually. Whatever. It's spelled Millar, just like the baseball player. He needs to change it. He needs to put ER.
It's so funny. It's so funny that again, Nerdrotic. He's like, I will always forever call him Mark Millar. Even
I know, you can't get over it
on my show, and he says it's Mark Miller.
I saw that interview too. It's funny. Yeah, he's like, it's Miller. It's like, oh well, shit. Like, son of a bitch. Anyway, yeah, man,
Claremont's Excalibur.
He just doesn't do much anymore. You know what I mean? He doesn't do a lot. He does a couple things here or there now, but he just doesn't do a lot. So did you see? I brought this up to you. Do you guys know there's a Buffy reboot with Sarah Michelle? Sarah Michelle, not Horseface, but Sarah Michelle. In Hulu. At Hulu, there's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot with Sarah Michelle Gellar in the works at Hulu.
It's not going to happen.
I just don't know. I just don't know what you do with this. Like,
it's not going to happen.
Old, right? It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It's not a reboot. It would probably have to be a continuation where she's the Watcher or whatever. As the next Slayer comes along, and she's got to mentor the next Slayer or whatever. That might be somewhat interesting. I mean, she's still talented. She still has her skills a little bit. So
she did a lot of voice acting like lately.
Yeah. But I honestly, just no. Without Joss Whedon, you can't do this.
And they can't have Joss Whedon because he's been banished to the hinterlands.
Well, people come back from being banished.
I guess. I mean, James Gunn was able to come back somehow after his tweets and stuff. I don't know.
Well, he sacrificed more to Moloch, and they allowed him back in the cult.
That's true.
I mean, he just said, you're not supposed to say that stuff publicly,
right,
or even joke about it. Even though we do it, you're not supposed to say it.
Right.
And not even make jokes about it. And you can continue to do that if you pay your sacrifices. Go over to DC, make a killer hit, and then we'll talk about you coming back to Marvel. And so, it's all a big
and give somebody their pound of flesh, whatever that means. I don't think James Gunn had to give up much. As a matter of fact, the cast for Guardians of the Galaxy, shilled for him to come back, said they wouldn't do another movie unless he came back. And of course, what happened,
Yep.
Bobby Wold's in the house. Do you guys remember seeing an article when Sonic the Hedgehog was getting redone with CGI, and someone did a story, if you give a fan a cookie, he'll expect too much. I will say this. The Sonic the Hedgehog CGI getting redone because of fan backlash is one of the greatest and best things that could have ever happened.
Smartest thing that they've
done. And that has become a money-making franchise.
I mean, the third one is probably the best out of the three, in my opinion, but they've all been good movies. And I think because they said, hey, let's pay attention to what's going on here, No, I think they're probably right about this. Let's
Yeah.
fix this. They took the criticism in stride and they changed it as
Mm-hmm.
quickly as they could and got it out there. And guess what? It was
It
successful
worked.
because
Yeah.
they didn't want that visual to hinder people going to see the movie. They wanted people to go see the movie and judge it on that, and so they had to do that. If they didn't, the movie sequels wouldn't have happened. I don't think.
No, no. If it had come out in the state that it was in and the look that it was in, as unhappy as people were, they would not have gone to see the film. I just would not have. And
Yeah.
so that was a net positive, 100% that they listened to that criticism. King of Spies, I'm not familiar with. What do you?
So I know that they've been working on a Millerverse for Netflix. They've been trying to work with Mark and creating his stories and bringing them into Netflix into live action adaptations. He's got so many great stories that it would be amazing to see some of them come to life on the screen. And if he's a part of it, I am all for it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much on that one in particular, but I know that they've been working on some of the other properties that he's done.
Yeah. That one I'm not familiar about. But yeah. I mean, good writer. I mean, I'm. I'd I'd be interested. I don't know anything new.
I mean, Nemesis is the one that I really want them to do. So we'll see if they can pull off a Nemesis. That's going to be really dark. So we'll have to see. But
did you guys know that there? Speaking of reboots, I know this is a show near and dear to your heart. A Little House on the Prairie reboot is in the works at Netflix, Matthew. And I know you were a huge Laura Ingalls fan. The bonnet, the whole 9 yards. I get it, right? Look at those clothes. Look at that happy little family right there. Look at them. Just a happy Michael Landon. Lovely
Michael
man.
Landon.
He was
Yeah.
touched by an angel, from what I understand. Uh, oh my God! I was trying to find the 3 Star Draw had sent the link to that United States parcel or United States Postal Service about not shipping stuff from China is quite interesting, actually. Yeah,
China.
China, Puerto Rico.
If they're not
can't even-
shipping, okay, so if they're not shipping anything that comes in from China, then they're not shipping anything. Because
yeah,
that's all they-
I know,
I mean-
right? Like Amazon. Well, how does Amazon get all their shit?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I guess privately, right? They bring it all in, but like, yeah, you're right. Like,
And-
there's
and
a
if-
lot
and if
of
they
stuff
choose-
coming in.
If they choose not to ship things from China, then the USPS, I know it's a government-run service.
Shit, it's a severely, terribly run government
Well,
service. My sister's worked there for 30 years, and my dad worked there for 30 plus.
I will say that the USPS is the only government entity that actually makes money. Unfortunately, they always show it as a negative because the senators come in and they take all that money and reappropriate it to other things for their private projects. So it doesn't look like it makes money, but it's the only one that actually does make money. But if they do this, they won't be making money and the USPS
Right.
will be shut down.
Yeah, I don't know how long that could last.
Not long.
I mean,
It's going to be
don't know,
real
man.
quick when they figure out that, oh, okay, we can't survive if we don't do this because too much stuff is. I mean, everything we have is basically produced in China.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
everything we have.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, when it comes to toys, that's gonna be a big problem, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
nobody's getting anything from 5K.
You got that right. Take that to heart. Let's see. It says they aren't accepting packages from China. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
man,
see. We'll see.
Yeah. Of course, look, there's definitely been some things in action already, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've seen a very active and very forward White House here in the last couple weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, they've kind of overstepped some things, I think, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's called the bluff games, right?
No,
Bluff
I'm not
games.
talking about that. I'm not.
Oh,
anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
We're,
Well,
yeah,
maybe not tonight.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, a drinking and gunslinging reboot of Little House on the Prairie. Yeah, I could be down for that. I gotta know who's gonna be playing.
You
You
know,
know,
they're going to get all the CW writers, and it's going to be talking and feelings in prairies and cottages, right? On
oh
horseback.
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know that they can do that show.
No
They
shit.
cannot make that show.
Nowadays, no,
No.
that's too. You can't have anything that wholesome
Wholesome.
nowadays.
Well,
I just
wholesome
remember as a
religious family
Yeah,
based.
and I
Yeah.
just remember as a kid there was one episode where like one of them dreams that he's a werewolf. Do you remember that? There's an episode where like one of the kids I think dreams that he's a werewolf, and I just remember like it. As
Yeah.
a kid, it freaked me out.
I never once watched the show.
Yeah, no, I mean I didn't watch it on
I
purpose. I can tell you that.
I knew of it. I never saw a complete episode. I'd watch Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
watch
sure.
I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, but Little House on the Prairie came on. I'm like, nah, I don't need preaching
Look,
today.
look, that's like watching a full episode of Hee Haw when I was a kid. This shit would just put me to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be in
But
bed.
I'd watch the Smothers Brothers. I mean, they were
Yeah,
funny.
Smothers Brothers are funny. That's true. That's true. All right. This story gained a little traction recently. It has to do with a movie that has gotten 13, count them, 13 Oscar nominations. 13 Oscar nominations. That is as many as what? The Godfather?
No, it's more than.
More than The Godfather.
Yep.
More than, I mean, to pick any classic, any top
Braveheart.
100 movies you could
Titanic.
possibly think of out of the history of film.
Yep.
This has more Oscar
Yes.
nominations. Now, why does it have so many Oscar nominations? I think we could probably guess. Even though we seem to be moving past this. This movie, folks, just so you know, I watched it in 4 parts and I skipped many, 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 many minutes at a time because it's not good. The music is not good. The lyrics are not good. It's not a musical. It doesn't add to the story. It thinks it's way too self-important, and it takes a really shitty person and then tries to turn them into a martyr and a good person who did great things by helping recover the bodies of the people that they helped put into mass graves for the cartel, basically. And so, but this person in the movie, the Emelia Perez, basically is a cartel leader who has a sex change and transitions to leave the world, that life behind, and then ends up reconnecting with the lawyer who he got hired to help transition and disappear. And then feeling guilty because he left his family behind, he shows up as a long lost aunt and wants to reconnect with his children. Not his wife, his children. And his wife doesn't recognize him somehow. I don't know how that's possible. But anyway, it's really, you have to really put aside your suspension of disbelief for this. But nonetheless, it's not good. It's really actually rather boring. And then the ending also is not. I mean, it's a movie you can watch if you have the ability to watch it on fast speed, right? Or just cut out large parts. You're not going to miss anything.
So
you're not going to miss anything at all.
So if Mexico hates this movie for the racist and stereotypical depictions of people from Mexico, the trans community hates this because this is a poor representation of the trans community, as they feel that this is a horrible person and it was horribly acted and the songs were terrible. And this was a French-made movie. And so have you seen the Mexican commercial parody for France?
I actually want to watch that. Yes, it's someone. Yeah,
it's stereotypical and quite funny.
Sorry.
Everybody's got the twirly mustaches and wearing mime clothes, and it's pretty funny. But in response to this movie, some advertisers in Mexico made a parody of the French people, just to troll them over this movie because they hate it so much.
Yeah, no, it's and yet it's only made about $4 million in the United States and about $11 million worldwide, a little over 11 million worldwide. How in the world it is up for 13 Oscars, and this actress is up for Best Actress, and that's caused a lot of stir. Now Hollywood's going to try to celebrate it, but the star got a little hot water over some tweets, and in some ways I understand this is going to get picked up, and it got picked up right before the Oscars, and someone kind of dug in. There's a reporter who kind of dug into this and pulled up some old tweets from this person, and some of these, they're not, to me, controversial. Journalist Sarah Hagee. These were all posted between 2020 and 2021. One of them from the star of the movie, Carla Sofia Gascon is the star. It says, "I'm sorry, is it just my impression, or is there more Muslims in Spain? Every time I go to pick up my daughter from school there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels," which is all true. Next year, instead of English, we'll have to teach Arabic. Again, sounds like something I would probably post, to be quite honest with you. And then another one says it attached a photo of a Muslim family in a restaurant, including a woman in a burqa, and said Islam is marvelous without any machismo. Women are respected, and when they are so respected, they are left with a little squared hole on their faces for their eyes to be visible, and their mouths, but only if she behaves. Although they dress this way for their own enjoyment, how deeply disgusting of humanity. These are pretty reasonable. I mean, I don't know how this is controversial. These are pretty reasonable, normal thoughts from a lot of Americans, actually. Again, Islam fails to comply with international rights.
Yep.
I'm so sick of so much of this shit of Islam, of Christianity, of Catholicism, and all the fucking beliefs of morons that.
You there? Is it me or is it him? You there? Yeah. Okay. So Pop did finally cut out. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, they got him.
What?
Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. The whole thing is, I don't know. They are making statements that most people would make. I haven't even looked into that yet. I know Pop did a little more looking into it than I did.
Yeah.
Right
Hopefully you're still on. I kicked out
Yep.
for a second. I don't know if
No,
my internet is dropped.
I turned up my volume on my other one. I think I was still going. I was just
Okay,
checking
good.
on you.
Yeah,
to see who it
mine
was.
somehow has kicked out, although I'm still
Yeah, well-
Ethernetted in. But nonetheless, the comments I think about the George Floyd is probably the ones that garnered the most
Yeah.
criticism, and I get that. I understand that. But the ones mainly I think about Islam, I think reflect how a lot of people feel, especially when it comes to women's rights, in particular. This became a big story. I don't think it's going to change anything.
No.
The actor, deleted their Twitter, and then apologized. I mean, there's some other ones in here about the COVID-19 and vaccines, and it's really. I'll tell you what, man. Let me tell you something. How is it that this actor during August of 2020 can post the Chinese vaccine, apart from the mandatory chip, comes with 2 spring rolls, a cat that moves its hand, 2 plastic flowers, a pop-up lantern, 3 telephone lines, and €1 for your first controlled purchase. And yet Gina Carano can lose her job from Disney.
Yeah.
Is it, you know what I mean? Like, it's fascinating to me. Oh my God. And even just the rest of this, like, oh man, look, it's free speech. I don't care. Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Yeah, Graf, Pop was replaced with AI. We're just running with it.
I definitely got my internet crapped out, man. I'm gonna have to I just got commie tubed. I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna reset it now as long as it's back and working. But yeah, that mesh network sometimes, man. I literally have to unplug it and plug it back in. It sucks.
I don't know if you guys were seeing it beforehand, but the dropping out of his his picture happened more frequently right before he dropped.
Then that it had to be my
Yep.
internet kicking in. Son of a bitch. Man, it's been good too, but and
Yeah.
I'm hardwired in too. That was a point
Yep.
to get the fiber and everything, man, to be able to stream without fail. But sometimes it fails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nonetheless, look, I don't think this person's going to get canceled. I definitely don't think they're going to get canceled just because, if you know
Right.
what I mean.
Yep.
But I do find it interesting that these comments now, like no one's going back and saying, "How dare you talking about the COVID or the vaccine or just it's amazing to me." But this became a big story for like a couple days, and at this point now, it's really kind of died down.
Yeah.
And what's happened is the reporter who pulled this stuff up and found these old tweets has now been attacked because people are pulling up her old
Yep.
tweets. And like you said at the beginning, the internet is forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things. I think this is a big non-story. I think
Yep.
it became a huge headline. But yeah, it's you have someone who maybe has an axe to grind or a vendetta,
Yep.
and then they decide to make a story, and then people start looking up their history and their old tweets, and all of a sudden things start looking kind of shitty the other way. It's the risk you run, right?
Yep.
That's the risk you run whenever you kind of want to go after somebody. And I know it's something that, look, it's something that I very easily could run the risk of,
Right.
myself. If somebody wants to go on whatever social media, I'm sure they can find stuff I've said, but I will tell you right now, I stand by everything I've ever said.
Yeah. And that's the thing that,
I
that
just do.
if you are honest and
I stand by
and
all.
presenting your opinion or your story or whatever, and you go out there and you do it, you stand by it. And if people don't like it, you can apologize and say, "I'm sorry you didn't like it," but you don't bend the knee. You don't sit down there and just backtrack on what you said.
No.
If it is the truth, and if it is what you really feel, because then they will own you forever. And that's what Gina wouldn't do. And that's why Gina had happened to her what has happened. And
Right.
now she's getting her comeuppance because they're going to Discovery. And
Oh,
so we
man.
will see exactly what Disney did to her. And from everything that I understand about it, everyone in here should be appalled because of the behavior and how they treated her, and how uncomprehendable it actually is. How
imagine
terrible it is to do that to
imagine your
somebody.
job coming to you and telling you that you by yourself are going to go on a Zoom call.
Yep.
But you're going to go on a Zoom call with 40 people.
Yep.
By yourself. So 40 people from the LGBTQ community,
Mhm.
and you have to sit there and listen to 40 people talk shit to you
Yep.
for an hour or 2 hours.
And you have to
And
apologize and justify to
to
every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Because you literally didn't say anything wrong.
You didn't say anything wrong. And you know what her
Fucking
counter
crazy, dude.
her counter to that was, "No, I'm not going to do that. But if 4 or
I'll
5
go
of
to-
them want to come have lunch with me or come have dinner
Go to
with me,
dinner?
we'll have a conversation and come meet with me, and we'll talk about this and see if we can't figure out what's really going on here." And they didn't want to do it because they knew that they were in the wrong, that they were bloviating, they were hyping this thing up more than what it was, and that they were going to look like fools, and they were going to get along with her and like her, and they didn't want to like her because they had to vilify her. Because she was the next villain that they had to attack. Like all fascists, they all have to create a straw man, and everyone has to go after the straw man.
Well, and that's what's so wonderful about the fact that, when the judge shot down Disney's trying to toss this out, right?
Yep.
So, going into Discovery, then that means that, we get to find out a lot of information that they definitely would not want out there. And look,
they fought that hard, and they offered quite a settlement to Gina and the lawyers and everything to stop this from going to Discovery, because
Right.
that's the last thing that Disney wanted was for
She
this to go
doesn't
to
need.
Discovery.
She doesn't need the money. She comes from
She
a wealthy family.
she
She
doesn't
doesn't
need the
need money.
money, and Elon is willing to help her
Right.
fight this battle as far as she wants to go with it. And for that alone, you got to say this man is standing up for people and trying to do the right thing for the most part. There's some things that I still think are questionable
Yeah.
that they're doing
Look.
right
Yeah.
now, but
Look. Right. I get that, but in this particular instance,
yep,
the question was posited that if you had been let go from your job due to uh, COVID or due to any whatever that he had put out there, and she was like, yeah, I think I qualify for that due
yeah,
to your if you posted or said anything about COVID or vaccine or anything of that nature or whatever. And so she was like, yeah, I qualify for that, and he took her up on it. So he's like,
yep.
hey, I'll pay for your lawsuit, and he can do that, right? Yeah, Mr. Wonderful, love it.
What's up,
Thank
Travis?
you, thank you, thank you. Smash that like, yeah, baby. Uh, dig on into that like button. Hit it with your nose if you have to.
Lick
If
the
you're
like, folks. Lick the like.
So we didn't get to it last time, and I wanted to get to it this time because we went over the Oscar nominations, many of which most people don't. Most of the days these days, Oscar nominations, people haven't seen these films. They don't know
Yeah.
these films.
Yep.
It's gotten very, very, very small
Yep.
number of films that people have seen. But the Razzie Awards were a lot more interesting. And I wanted to bring this up, and actually forgot to get to it with you last week. Joker 2 is topping the nominations, and Madam Web,
As they should.
as they should. Megalopolis,
Oh,
Reagan,
Megalopolis.
which you saw Reagan
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And so Borderlands has Joker 2 has 7 mentions, 7
That's right.
nominations, and
Good.
and we'll figure out if it gives us a rundown of maybe what they are. But Borderlands also, that just looked brutal, like that was miscast from the start.
What was
People
that?
that like
What was that Zack Snyder one?
Rebel Moon.
Yeah. I
Rebel
don't
Moon.
understand why Rebel Moon isn't on here too. I mean, come
Maybe it's
on.
because these were just that much worse. The Crow,
The Rebel Moon was
Crow
pretty freaking bad.
is boring.
Yeah.
It's just boring.
Yeah.
And a lot of classic slow mo, and just boring. It's just boring to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, Kate Blanchett, obviously from Borderlands, Lady Gaga from Joker 2, John Voight, and one of President Donald Trump's newly appointed ambassadors to Hollywood, John Voight. Let's see. Yeah, organizers joke the worst picture nominees will compete for a $4.97 gold spray painted statuette. It's kind of amazing, though, honestly, that the Razzie Awards to me would be much more fun to watch than the
Oh yeah.
Oscars, considering I actually know the films in
Right.
the Razzies,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, yeah, worst picture: Borderlands, Joker, Madam Web, Megalopolis, Reagan. Okay, did you see Dear Santa with Jack Black?
Hell no.
Fuck no. Zachary
There's
Levi?
no way that I would watch Dear Santa because those people just freaking
Yeah,
hate
no,
Christmas
yeah,
and
yes,
yeah, no, I'm not.
they definitely hate you.
Yeah.
Ronnie Trickshot, I got to tell you, and Graf, yes, Sydney Sweeney she is definitely up for whatever awards she wants to get. She can have them all. She can have every single one of them. And I know Ronnie's definitely got an award for her. If she ever make it down under to visit him.
Down under.
Maybe get her on a stream. Yeah, right. Holy moly. Get her on a stream sometime, Ronnie. Get her on that over middle of the night stream from in the United States. Sure, I wake up at 4:00 in the morning and these guys are going over G.I. Joe renders. I'm like, what am I doing? I've got to get into this. Yeah, I heard Dear Santa was pretty bad. I look, folks, there's just some movies I'm just not gonna. I'm sorry. Like I can't. I'm not gonna.
Hey, you watched
there.
that Perez movie, man. You
I
could probably
did.
last through, and you watched The Acolyte all the way
I
through.
probably
I mean,
watched out of the total runtime. Total time for me was probably about 48 minutes, and that's all you need to see. I should pull up the song about transition with the doctor and the lawyer. It's fascinating. It's a great song. I can't
Sounds
believe
like
someone
a
actually
5-year-old wrote it.
sang the words from penis to vagina. It's the dumbest shit. I'm telling you, folks. Like it's stupid. It's so bad.
Okay, so we may have to pull it up because if you haven't heard this song,
right. Okay.
you really should hear this song. And this is what the movie is in total. It's hilarious and it's ridiculous and it's the dumbest thing ever. I've heard it a couple times now, and I've heard it on double speed too, so it's even funnier.
I'm gonna see if I can get it. I almost would have to bring up Gary's review because it's difficult. It's difficult to find it, but I will pull up Gary's review and I will show that part. Okay, I'm gonna have to scrub through it though, so forgive me momentarily.
I'll
scrub through this.
You guys need to understand what this thing is about to really put it in perspective and to think that this is one of the songs in the movie.
Okay. Here we go.
Thank you, Gary. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully you give me permission to watch this. All right, here you go. Share this tab instead. Let me turn up the volume, and you guys get ready to be treated to the wonderful sounds of one of the songs. They're not even songs because they're not even long enough to be songs of this movie.
Oh, God! Hello, very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Man to woman, or woman to man.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
No! God, please, no! I want to know it all. What is the protocol, the techniques and the risks? How many operations? How much time do you need?
Mammoplasty.
Yes. No!
Vaginoplasty.
Yes.
No! Rhinoplasty.
Yes.
Laryngoplasty.
Yes.
Control laryngoplasty.
What is that?
Adam's apple reduction.
Yes.
No!
Here's the good news.
Yeah, sorry, folks. That's all you're gonna get. Go watch this review. Gary Beekler, Nerdrotic. Give him a view. Just had a death in the family too, so he's not going to MegaCon. But give him a view. Not that he needs it, but it's a damn good review. But nonetheless, so that gives you an idea. Yeah, Sabir, just to give you an idea of a little bit of it. 3-star. That was enough. Yeah, it's fucking terrible. I cut out large swaths of that movie to get through it to the end, which is a horrific car crash.
And you will never get that time back.
No, I won't. No, that shit was stupid. That's why it's only made $4 million in the United States. That's why it is terrible. It's not good, and how it's up for 13 nominations. But that song alone, I had to watch because it is. It's like, this is not happening. Like, who wrote this? All you're doing is just going through the different surgeries that someone would have to transition, and you're making a song out of it. It doesn't even rhyme. Rhinoplasty. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? I would watch The Sound of Music like 10 times.
Okay,
over.
so did you see?
And I thought that was boring.
Did you see the movie Cats?
Oh no. I saw the play. I saw the play on Broadway in New York City, but no. I could not. So when I saw that James Corden looking like he's, that was
and
enough
they had,
for me.
Accurate portrayals of cats buttholes.
Oh, it isn't Dame Judi Dench. I mean, how do you would stoop so low? You got Dame in your name. Come on. Holy Jesus. Yeah. So anyway, so just to give y'all an idea, yeah, Turks is more weight than enough. Yeah. No, it's brutal. And I know no one in this audience is going to see that movie. But just that was just to give you a taste of that scene. It's embarrassing. It really it makes a mockery out of all of it. I mean,
yeah.
And then tries to turn the lead character so graciously decides to have a change of heart after bailing on his family and having a sex change to then come back to be around the kids and then help the families that the cartel has wronged by finding the missing bodies. And it's like, what? And then they give up. It's like a martyr at the end. They have a send off and they treat her like she's some kind of special character for doing that. And it's like, it's the reason these people are in the graves to begin with. This, I mean, what? This is so fucking wacko. It was, oh, jeez. Ben Vereen, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Damn good pull, War Chest. Damn good pull. Oh my God, yeah, no, it's bad news, folks. Anyway, but yeah, the Razzies though, they're taking place. When is this thing going down? Because I actually wanted to watch it. I thought about live streaming it. It's gonna be at the end of the article, I know.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not even at the end. They're like, screw you. We're not even gonna tell you when it's taking place. You're just shit out of luck. Figure it out on your own. Winners will be unveiled. Okay, March the 1st. So I don't know. They it's before the Oscars, which I think is like a couple days later or something like that. That's Sunday night or something.
I don't know. I always thought the Oscars were sooner than March. Are they pushing it back, or is this just when it's always been and I've forgotten? Because I thought it was earlier.
No, I think it is. I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is like later because they're revealing the Razzie Awards right before
okay,
March the 2nd is when the Oscars are.
Okay.
At 6:00 Central Standard Time. So
nice.
That's 7:00 East Coast. You're on CST.
Central. Yeah, I'm on Central.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Deep in the heart of Texas. All right. Anyway, so I guess really just to kind of finish up, I did want to get your thoughts. There are a few couple other stories that I'd brought up to you. And I know it's something we've also brought up as well, but it bears mentioning because coming from such a seminal filmmaker. Recently, I came across this article with Tarantino talking about that the last year for movies was 2019. And it's right before streaming took over, which we all know streaming really exploded during COVID.
Yep.
That's when all of this really became the focal point, and the tech industry got what they wanted, right? They invaded Hollywood and entertainment, and they completely changed the game to where Netflix now is like the biggest movie-making company.
Yep. They're the only ones that have a budget who would have an actual budget for it.
Yes. Basically, let me expand this. He said, what the fuck is a movie now? Something that plays in theaters for a token release of 4 fucking weeks. And by the second week, you can watch it on your TV. And I'll go to the original X tweet. He says, I didn't get into all this for diminishing returns.
Right.
Since 2019, it's gotten drastically worse.
Yep.
And it really has, right? Like, you know, it's, and when you think about it too, like I think it's easy for us to kind of just take things, right? Like we take things because it is what it is, and you're living life and you're in the middle of life and you don't give a lot of things much thought. But if you really think about it and you try to look out there and you think, okay, throughout history, especially let's say since the 70s, when your Coppola and your Lucas and your Spielberg and all these people came on the scene, what directors out there, who is the new crop? Who are the
Yeah.
filmmakers that are creating, that are making something new and exciting and different? Or is it all like what he's saying here, is
Yeah.
that you're going to get through, like you just said,
There.
Wolfman and
Yep.
Werewolves are Blu-ray. They're already out, right?
Yep.
Streaming Nosferatu, it's
Yep.
out for 46 days, and then you can, buy it on streaming now. But it is diminishing returns because it's not a money-making system.
Yep. So I mean, let's think about this for a second. Godzilla -1. They had a very limited release in theaters.
Right.
It made a bunch of money. They expanded that release. They made more money. They re-released it in black and white and made more money.
Yes.
Right. And so they re-released it in theaters, I believe 3 or 4 times, and made money every time. They pushed off the release of the physical media for almost a year. It was like 9 months before they released it on physical media. And now it's out on physical media and you can get it, but it's also streaming on Netflix, yada, yada, yada. They did their due diligence, but they actually had something special. So they kept it in theaters for as long as they could. Right. And so there's still people trying to make movies out there, but I wonder if we're going to get the last Tarantino film, if this is the way he feels, because
Man,
because he's not going to be able to present it the way he wants to. And I have to kind of disagree with Clint on this one.
Right.
The movie studios gave away their power during 2020 and they got played. I don't think they gave away their power. I don't think they had any to begin with. And the movie industry didn't have anything to provide them, so they had nothing left because they're completely dependent on Hollywood. Right? And Hollywood didn't do them any favors. But they couldn't because the government also wasn't doing them any favors. And so the government and Hollywood actually killed the movie theaters because of the policies that they put forth that made it impossible to go to the movies. And they did, as far as I can tell, everything that they possibly could because they brought so many $1 re-releases of old movies that they could do. And I went back and we watched Empire Strikes Back. We watched all these old movies for $1 going to the movie theater, trying to help the movie theaters out because there was nothing coming out from Hollywood. And so I don't know that it was the movie theaters in particular, but the studios, I don't know if they gave away their power, but they lost it all because of the way that they decided to sell to streaming so fast. And man, streaming just kind of ruined everything.
Yeah, and also too, talking about the restrictions and the movie theaters and everything, when COVID came around, if you look at the number of like $1 billion films that were released, just going back to let's say 2012 or something, 2012, 2010, and how many actual releases that were out, the amount of releases that come out now are it's like cut in half.
Yeah.
It's half the movies that are going to theaters now compared to just 2019.
Right.
Even.
So the last 2 years, it's literally been half and half again.
Right.
And so it's been really bad in terms of the number of releases.
And the
and
number
there are
of
no independent creators. There's nobody, there's no Tarantino, there's no Rodriguez that are coming up through the ranks to produce something special. There's not even a Kevin Smith out there trying to do anything like that.
No, and to me, and I've brought this up too, now that you literally have a movie camera in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Anyone can go make a movie. I mean, with creativity, but technically, you would think with the proliferation of high definition cameras, right? The you can go buy one or whatever. You got your phone, and anyone can make a movie. But yet we've seen that hasn't been the case because used to, the cost of film, the cost of the cameras, there was a barrier to entry to that, right?
Yeah.
And now the barrier to entry is little to none, and yet you haven't seen it, and it's because they don't want that.
So here's something for you
So-
to throw some psychology at you. Okay. Cognitive dissonance, right?
Right.
It's kind of, loosely based. I'm going to butcher it, but whatever. When you pay for something, you have value on it, even if it's $1.
Right.
You have invested interest into it. The more you pay, the more interest you have in this thing being successful. So you want it to be true, right? So
Right.
you keep going this way and you keep throwing money at it, and you want this thing to be true, even if it's a cult, even if it's a lie, whatever it happens to be. And so in this case, the barrier to entry is so low that you won't get anything quality
Yeah,
for a very long time.
There's no pressure. There's
no pressure. There's no
right.
incentive. There's no formational process. The
Right.
forge is what makes something great. You have to put
Right.
it through the fire. It has to be pounded out. You have to, create steel, right? By doing this forging. And that's literally what it's called. It's called forging for a reason. So there has to be a barrier to entry. There has to be obstacles that you have to overcome. You have to work really hard to overcome those barriers, and then you have to be precise in what you do, and that forces creativity because you're defined and you're narrow. Because when you give big budgets to everybody or make it accessible to everybody, everybody's like, oh, anybody can do this, and they produce lazy ass shit all the time. And so you get terrible movies, you get terrible products that are put out there just because they can. And there's no incentive to be better than other people, to fight for those resources that are more scarce.
I also think that you see, like we were talking about Netflix and having the actual budgets, but I think what it is because it's so spread out, it's like, you throw a little bit of money at this, a little bit of money at that, a little bit of money, and you produce 175, or 300 films or whatever you want to call it, instead of condensing that down into like a smaller number and more quality. Instead, you just get a bunch of shit, right? It's like just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's kind of what streaming is to me. And so like with this
and
point
Disney
about,
ain't sticking.
no, they definitely ain't sticking. And I don't know they'll ever make money out of that, out of Disney Plus. It started off with a bang. They had the Mandalorian, Disney in particular, but because
they'll start making money when they start shutting down Disney Plus and licensing their stuff to Netflix
exactly
and Amazon.
Right. Well, and that's what I mean. I think Disney Plus is just not going to be a money maker.
Yep.
Although you've started to see now, the new thing is they're starting a new channel, and it's just supposed to be like your background screen, your second monitor, so to speak. And it's just them showing nothing but back to back to back to nonstop Disney property movies around the clock, and it's just supposed to be your second monitor. You're not even supposed to even be watching it. It's just background noise. That's the new thing.
Have you ever seen the movie Clockwork Orange?
Yes.
Okay. There it is.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Pry open the eyeballs.
Right.
Keep it pinned down to your seat.
No, exactly.
Make you watch that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. It's weird. And that's why I guess it goes back to what I was saying about how we just kind of take stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it takes revolutionaries to change the way people think. And
that's
when
right.
it comes to filmmaking as well, right?
Absolutely.
It takes revolutionaries. And that's why I wonder, where are the revolutionary filmmakers? And Tarantino has one more film left, and is it even going to get made?
Yeah, that's
right?
what I don't know. I mean, I look at those guys in the 90s, and what Rodriguez, Tarantino, and even Smith did was they pushed the envelope so hard that it made people take a second look at what they were doing and saying, wait a minute, these guys are getting really successful. We've got to up our game. And so that competition made some really good movies in the early 2000s. Right. And then it just fell off a cliff when those guys sold out and became corporate slugs. I guess you'd say Tarantino probably isn't that way. Rodriguez got tied up in trying to make the El Rey TV network that didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
And that could have been interesting. And I understand what he was trying to do. But I just wish he made more creative projects instead of selling out to Disney and making crappy Mandalorian episodes or whatever.
Well, and and to comment on this War Chest, and then something Graf said too. Yeah, the strikes happened because actors lost royalties when everything went to streaming. They rely on those
Yep.
to survive between projects. Streamers like Netflix own and produce content without ads, and meaning they no royalty money. That's why many actors return to network TV.
Yeah.
Well, network TV is I mean, if you can do a show that's got 24 episodes and you can show up week to week and knock it out and get a constant paycheck, because right now the pay is also not what it used to be
That's
in
right.
Hollywood. And because a lot of these projects, a lot of these people that do these movies on Netflix, and Adam Sandler can sign a huge deal, but there's only a couple few of those people out there signing these big deals. A lot of these actors doing these films for Netflix or for Hulu or whoever, they're really not getting paid what they
Right.
used to have gotten paid to do something.
That's right.
And that's completely changed as well. And also, yes, Graf, look, AAA video games, I'm just going to say this. It is a struggling industry right now. They have had nothing but layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these studios in AAA gaming sold their souls for DEI
Yep.
and brownie points for gamers that don't buy games.
Yep.
And they play their iPhone. They play Candy Crush.
So the biggest villain of the gaming verse in the last 4 years, a man who was railed upon, was just proven absolutely correct in his rant that they tore him apart for. He got so much hate and backlash for his rant, and everybody went after him. They made memes, they made music videos, they cut it up, and everybody trashed him for it. But the people in the know knew that he was right. Most of the gamers knew that he was right, and now everyone knows that he was right. And as at heels versus babyface, or heel versus babyface, was absolutely correct. And Asmongold and other people have been talking about it and proven him correct.
Oh yeah, no. Look, it's BioWare, a company that made amazing games, Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, like really great, Dragon Age, like great RPGs. They decided to sell out for that, and they basically have lost most all their staff now. They're a shell. Most all these companies, Ubisoft, the value of Ubisoft stock has tanked. They're probably going to have to sell, and it's probably going to be a Chinese company like Tencent that comes in and buys them. Companies that focus on mobile games and shit like that. But yeah, most of these companies, these AAA companies, have absolutely failed because they went down that road. Now, I will tell you, there are some developers out there, part of the CD Projekt Red team left. A lot of them left. Those were the Witcher games. Great games, but they have bought in lock, stock, and barrel into the DEI. And so a lot of their main founders left. And they have a vampire game coming out that looks absolutely unbelievable, dude. And I would recommend everybody to check that out. Hang on real quick. I'll tell you the name of them. It's called The Blood of Dawnwalker. And it says, and it's a fantasy RPG. The Blood of Dawnwalker. There is a trailer out, and I would tell everybody to go watch that trailer. It is sick, dude.
Nice.
I mean, yes. And these guys, like they're RPG fans. If you're into that, there is a new game out, just to tell you. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you're an RPG fan, this is a medieval role-playing game, and it's about as true. It's not fantasy. It is a role-playing game, and it is about as player-centric as you could get for a game these days. It doesn't hold your hands. If you have to wash your body. If you go to talk to a shopkeeper, they'll smell you and think that you're a lower class person, and you will not get as good of prices from the shopkeeper if you don't go wash yourself first. If you murder someone and you have blood on you and then you're walking around and a guard spots you and asks you what why, then you have to either talk your way out of it, or they'll know that you're the person that did it because you forgot to wash off your face or your clothes. It's wild. But it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's an amazing freaking game. The first one it was really good, but they got a bigger budget this time, and it is definitely a team that is doing what AAA games used to do.
Yeah.
And
Good.
that's not
Okay.
hold your hand. And
Nice.
obviously Garaf knows who Az is.
Yeah.
And he was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 actually tonight, live streaming it. And I was watching it earlier while I was trying to nap, which is always a good idea. Yeah, royalties decline over time. Yeah, popularity. I mean, this is classic, this is a classic Hollywood thing, right? I mean, stars fade, popularity wanes, but if you are part of a Friends cast or a Seinfeld cast, or you get to that magic 99 episode where you go to syndication, then you could have a paycheck for life. You know what I mean? I mean, especially the uber popular shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But anyway, so I just thought that Tarantino's comments were pretty interesting, and being that he's kind of one of those last great filmmakers, I just don't know who's out there. And we'll see. But I don't know, man. That's really kind of all I got. For you tonight. I know you had a couple things maybe that you want to show. So by all means, take the floor.
Oh, and nothing too special, but I got this in, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. But this is Into Darkness, 90 to 94.
Booyah. Oh yeah, dude. Those are super cool. I've heard a lot about those.
I have the first three volumes of Into Darkness were 1980 to 1989. So
nice.
They covered they did 3 6-hour documentaries on only the 80s horror movies. And so now they've gotten into the 90s. They did one for sci-fi for the 80s. They've done a bunch of other projects such as Alien Memory and Aliens Explained, going over the movie Alien, going over the movie Aliens. Really great, again, documentaries on those things. But this company that's doing this stuff, they do live streams every week. They talk about movies. They do all kinds of stuff. The people involved with this stuff is awesome. Technically, I guess I'm called a producer on all of these things because I get in from the beginning, and I get a little credit in there or some videos sometimes. But these things are so much fun to watch, and the format that they do is engaging, keeps you going. That's really all I had for this week. I've got some more pictures coming up this week, of course, like always.
Yeah, baby.
But yeah.
The In Search of Darkness and the sci-fi one. So if you ever watch Angry Video Game Nerd, he actually sponsored by those guys, and he will do a commercial for them, like at the beginning of his videos, some of his videos and stuff. That's where I first actually came to find out about those videos, I guess a documentary almost in a way, I guess, really, right?
They are. They're very extensive, very thorough documentaries. Like I said, they're all about 6 hours, and they all cover different aspects of things. And In Search of Tomorrow is the sci-fi one, and that got me to buy a whole bunch of sci-fi movies.
Nice.
The In Search of Darkness ones got me reinvigorated about some of my favorite horror movies. And going back and really kind of reviewing a bunch of those, especially the werewolf ones. Obviously,
sometimes you need that though, man. Like sometimes you need a little kick in the pants, right? You kind of, haven't seen something in a while, and you spend a lot of time on YouTube, and it's kind of, and it's like, I need to, I need to sit and watch some shit that I used to really like,
Oh yeah, exactly.
Even though you might have seen it a lot, you maybe haven't seen it in a few years.
Yep. And then I wish that this had been the full decade for the first one, to cover some more broad-based stuff, because I want to see what they're going to pull up and do when they get to things like Event Horizon and stuff like that. So,
right. Sweet.
but yeah, that's pretty cool. As far as other stuff, nothing nothing crazy. I've been starting to see some GI Joes actually still show up at the store from the latest wave. So that's interesting. But
Not
got
around here.
photos every week, as you know, every day, as you know, different themes. So check them out.
Yeah, man. Mamu's Action Figure Blog on Instagram. Yeah, man. Look, I got a stream tomorrow night, Sevens Wild with 3-star draw. And we have a pretty fun topic called taking it literal. And we picked a year. I picked a year. He picked a year, and we're going to off the cuff, going to give a GI Joe or a Cobra name to each other, and you have to come up with what their job or background would be based off of their code name. And some of those can be quite literal.
Yeah,
it's kind of pretty
that's for
goofy.
sure.
So we're just gonna have fun with that tomorrow night, and obviously we're gonna look at the renders and stuff, go over those. But yeah, man. So that's about it. Sevens Wild tomorrow night, be it 9 o'clock Eastern. So if y'all are hanging out, tune into that. But that's about all I got for this week for the Evening Blend number 36. Always Matthew, always a pleasure, man. And thanks y'all so much for showing up in the chat. Makes it so much better. We'll be back next week and try to bring some more stories and stuff for y'all. And until then, thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a good night.